Welcome to the Balance and Flow Show. My name is Jenny DuFresne. I'm the host of this show designed to help you thrive in uncertain times. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, share this with a friend, or jot down a comment below on the topic of today's show. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy.
Making this a really kind of a rough segue, but I wanted to share some things that I learned in Nigeria. It was so incredible. Like, this is actually my second trip in 2 months, and that didn't happen on purpose. Meaning, I hadn't really anticipated when I came back from the first trip. I had not anticipated that I would be back actually probably for another year or so. But I want to kind of share a little bit of how everything manifested, and also 5 lessons that I learned, 5 things that I learned that I think are really relevant to wherever we all are in our lives and the things that we're doing in our lives. So I was in Nigeria early in the fall, and I had a great and amazing time with my sort of adopted family and friends there. But one of the things that I've been committed to for a few years is really being able to work with women leaders. And so I found that when I first traveled to Nigeria a number of years ago, that I looked around and I really thought, wow, there's some great and important opportunities to build a nation, and build a nation really with the power of women. In my opinion, women really hold up the world. If I was sort of imagining if like women all disappeared, like what would happen in the world? And there's so many things that just would stop, like absolutely stop. And I think sometimes we take for granted how incredible and important women are to society, to things working right, to the world working. And so when I was in Nigeria a few years ago, I came home and I wrote on my 10-year plan that I really wanted to be able to somehow have an opportunity to work with women in Nigeria, women leaders, in particular, women business owners, to help support the building of what I believe is really a great nation. And so I was in Nigeria in the early fall. I came back and I was researching some stuff for a friend of mine who's a business owner, and I came across an opportunity. So here's my first lesson. I came across this opportunity, and it was a women in leadership conference. And I was like, oh, wow. Had some really awesome keynote speakers. The organizers are really cool. And so I was like, well, heck, this is really right up my alley. I'm a speaker. I train and work with leaders all over the country, all over the US, and love business. And so I thought, let me, and the theme was revolutionary thinking. So that I'm all over that. I love breaking boundaries. I love shifting the universe in really amazing ways to make the world a better place for people. And so I was like, well, here's this. Let me send a note to the conference organizer. So here's my first lesson for any of you, is to take risks, do the unreasonable, do the things that are completely like outside of anything you would normally do. So I crafted an email, included my bio, a little bit about what I've done, and I send it off out there into the universe to the organizers. And within, I think, a day, I get a response back, like from Aji, who's one of the organizers. She's like, oh my gosh, like your background is really amazing. The stuff that you've done is really amazing. We would love to have you. And I'm honestly, I didn't really actually expect. Hi, Omina, how are you? I really didn't expect an affirmative response. Like, how many of us have like sent an email out there and then it just says crickets? We don't get any response back, right? So, but I got a response back. And so then after that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I've gotten an affirmation, a yes. And so my first big lesson was, you got to take risks. We all have to take risks, right? Like, that's the way amazing things happen in the world. Amazing opportunities and experiences happen. So I said yes. I was like, oh my goodness, like I'd be delighted to come. And then, then I had to figure out all the logistics, right? Like I had to figure out, it was actually going to be the first time, and here goes still more to the taking risks. It was going to be the first time I was actually going to be going and be completely on my own. And so while I've flown into Nigeria, into Lagos, and specifically a number of times, I've always had handlers. I've always had someone who's come and gotten me, and then I've been taken to where I need to go. So this time, I'm really not like I was going into an environment that I had a little bit of familiarity with, but I was going to be completely on my own. So the risk taking started to like get kind of amped up, right? So I said yes, I would be excited to come and speak and to actually facilitate a masterclass with these amazing women leaders that I was anticipating going to be there. But the next part of my risk taking was I then had to create like all of the infrastructure around me. So I had to get a driver. Now, for those of you who are in Nigeria, you know that those of us who are not from Nigeria, we can't drive in Nigeria because Nigeria has a very unique driving style. Hey, Scott. Oh my gosh, long time no see. Like a long time no see. Anyway, so I had to facilitate getting a driver. So I was able to do that. It was someone who had driven me in the past. I just actually met him. And so worked out all the business logistics of that. Hi, Tracy. And so I had a driver. Well, then the next thing was I did not know anything about Lagos. So I didn't know like where I was going to meet. So I'm on Google Maps and I'm going from like, you know, the map view down to the, thanks, Tracy, down to the like street view so you can actually see what it looks like. So I find the location for the actual conference. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just stay at the hotel that was right next to the conference. Hi, Nancy. And so then I, ended up, I was going to be there for 5 days and it was really super expensive. And I was like, oh man, I just can't afford this. So then my next risk taking was I decided I would do Airbnb. So for those of you that don't know what Airbnb is, Airbnb it's actually all over the world. Airbnb is a way that you can basically rent a room in someone's house. Hi, Nancy, welcome. It's a way you can rent a room or an apartment, but it's like attached to someone's house. So it's basically you're renting from a homeowner or something, right? So I decided in all of my infinite wisdom and risk taking that I would do Airbnb. And so I found an Airbnb that was near the location that I was going. And then the next thing I decided was, well, so I'm going to be there with some downtime. I was going to fly in on Thursday. I had Friday basically free and then Saturday. So then I decided that I wanted to see stuff in Lagos. So I got on the internet once again and I wanted to go to Lekki Market, which is this really amazing, it was amazing on the internet, right? So amazing market. And I wanted to go to the National Museum of Nigeria. So I put that all in my itinerary. And the reason I share all of this is I'm by myself, number one. I'm going to a country that for those of you who hear the word Nigeria, you're like, oh my gosh, why would you ever go there? Like Nigeria is filled with all these people who are thieves and all this negativity, right? And so, so I'm sharing all of these pieces because it's really important. Because I'm by myself, remember. I'm going into a completely foreign environment by myself, and I'm having to arrange things that I've never had to do before. Again, I share all this because oftentimes in our lives, we don't take risks because either someone has told us that we should be afraid, or we don't take risks because we're afraid for our safety. And I grant you, I understand that I'm not bulletproof by any stretch of the imagination. But, so like we often don't do things. We don't start businesses. We don't have a family. We don't get married. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we don't do because there's all of these sort of things around it that say you shouldn't do that. So my first big lesson was taking risks. Then the second big lesson was to be open. So one of the things that I've been being gifted with in the last few months was I've been meeting a number of Africans, Cameroonians, Nigerians, Kenyans, and I think have put out into the universe that I really want to do work in Africa. So I just have been meeting women leaders who are from the continent in different places. And I had one woman right before I left, she said, Nigerians, because I was telling her, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I'm doing this and I'm going to be by myself and I don't know. Hey, Sean. I don't know anybody where I'm going. And she said, listen, she said, Nigerians are extremely hospitable people. Nigerians will do everything they can to make sure that you're comfortable and will be helpful. And so my second big lesson was be open, right? Not only be open to the experience, but be open to be open-hearted and be open to having a really amazing engagement. Be open to the right people being in the right place to support, facilitate, help, whatever. And so it was a huge experience of like, okay, I conditioned my mind before I ever went to be open. And so I fly in to Lagos, and by this time, I'm really comfortable with, yes, Nancy, definitely got to put out to the universe what I want to do. And this is a really huge testament to it. Me being able to be in Nigeria was really about that. And so I go and I land in the airport, and I'm accustomed to the Nigerian airport at this point. Like it's weird because I'd just been there a couple of months ago, like there's people in the airport I know by face and we're like, hey, how you doing? The people that work there. So it started to help me again, this be open, and people are really, people are more willing to be helpful rather than not helpful. And so that was a big lesson about being open. And again, this is because a lot of people hear how negative Nigeria is, or Nigeria is just all this fraud and people are trying to rip you off and all. Sorry, I had a call coming in from Kenya actually. So I get to the airport, everything is smooth. My driver comes, everything is smooth. And remember, I got an Airbnb. So we end up driving. We finally find the location of where I needed to be. And I got settled into the evening. Now, let me tell you, my Airbnb, it was its own private studio apartment, marble floors. It was beautiful. It was behind, it was this grassy, it was so gorgeous. So again, that was this big risk of doing this Airbnb online, like you don't know. But it was a gorgeous place. So those are two big lessons. The next lesson that I learned, and I've learned this everywhere I've traveled all over the world, and that is be where you are. And so I did take pictures. I took some, they've been on my Facebook. Hopefully Michaela, hopefully. Hi, Queen. And so be where you are is the other huge lesson that I learned. And I'm a really good traveler. Like I love to travel and I love to be, present. But oftentimes what happens when Americans travel, this is my experience, and maybe other people too, but I'm an American and I've traveled with Americans, is that we go to other countries and then we demand it to be American or Western. We demand that it look, feel, smell, act like, sound like everything that we're accustomed to and that we do at home. And so I share this because it's so important, be where you are. I'm in Nigeria. So some things about Nigeria are very unique. Driving, for example, is a very unique experience. For the uninitiated, it's a absolute white knuckle, teeth clenching, eyes closed, your scrunch closed, because people drive in Nigeria about 5,000 miles an hour. And the infrastructure, the roads are not the greatest. And so you can have a paved road and then it can have a big, huge pothole in it. It's like a big enough pothole to swallow a car. And there's this crazy ballet with motorcycles, people running perpendicular traffic while traffic's going this way. There are yellow buses filled with people. There's 4 or 5 people on a little motorcycle, zooming through and darting in and out. And then when traffic slows down, there's young people who are running up and down the traffic, selling anything from ground nuts to soda, water, whatever. And so for the uninitiated, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe what's wrong with this country. So one of the things that I learned and I continue to relearn is be where you are. If this is what is going on in that particular location or that country, be there. Which means you got to relax into whatever's happening, right? Be there. So, yes, absolutely, Nancy, you got to be where you are. You can't go to another country or go someplace and then you want it to look like the comfort level that you have at home. And that's across the board. Nigeria has an infrastructure challenge, definitely. So like if the lights go out, be where you are. The lights are out now. They're out for Nigerians. They're out for the American there in the room. So don't get carried away and go, oh my God, I can't believe why we don't have any lights. The lights are out. So be where you are, right? And again, what's the point of that? Of course I have thank you. I'm glad. Yeah. I mean, I love Nigeria. Actually, I have a lot of fun and I had a really great time this time. It was really, really powerful. But be where you are, also applies to wherever you are right now. If you're sitting in your living room, if you're sitting wherever, like sometimes we're so anxious to like have everything else to be something else, somewhere else. Or we look back in the past in our history of our lives and we want something to be happening right now. And sometimes it's not. Yes, you got to relax, Nancy. You got to be right where you are. And so that was my third reaffirmation. Yes, be present. Like that was my just reaffirmation, especially for those. I know, Sean, you're thinking of going to Nigeria. Like it's just so important to just be there and be with, like, adapt as quickly as possible to the way things are in that particular environment. One, you're going to be way more comfortable. Two, you'll have a great experience. And three, you'll attract people to you because people anywhere in the world appreciate it when you appreciate where they are, like how they're living. Get with it. I'm a big fan of eating local food as well. And so be where you are. I had a goosey, I had pounded yam, I had goat, what else did I had? What else did I have? I had everything spicy. So be where you are. The other big lesson was, and this is a life lesson, is it's really important to not allow fear or doubt to limit the opportunity of the experience. Now, let me just be really candid. I responded to something that I found online for a speaking engagement in another country that doesn't always have the best reputation, right? And so I had to breathe through the doubt sometimes. When I didn't hear from the organizers right away, I was like, oh, maybe this isn't real. By that time, I'd already got my plane ticket. So, I was like, this needs to be real. But you got to sometimes just breathe through it. And that's such a life lesson, is you got to breathe through when you're afraid. You got to breathe through when you're doubting. You have to breathe through, because when you're able to do that, then there are some really amazing opportunities on the other side of that. And that kind of goes along with breathing through it and saying yes. Like obviously checking in with your intuition. If something doesn't feel right, like it really legitimately doesn't feel right, and your intuition, then yeah, follow your intuition all day long. But often it's just important to breathe through these things that are scary. Breathe through. Like I had people going, "You're doing what? You're going to travel all the way to Nigeria to speak? Really? Like, who do you know there?" And I was like, well, in this particular environment, I don't know anybody. But I'm gonna do this. So, hey, Irene, thank you. I'm glad to be back. Although I really miss all my Nigerian friends and all the Nigerian hubbub, all the music and all the conversations and everything, of most of which I don't understand because I don't speak Yoruba, and I was mostly around Yoruba people. So breathe through your fear and doubts. And again, that's a huge thing in life, right? And then the last really huge lesson for me is our human experience does not have boundaries. And so here we go. So some of the things that I learned in the conference, at the Women in Leadership conference that I went to, which was really, really profound for me, because I was coming both to share and gain wisdom all at the same time. I was coming because I really wanted to understand what's going on with women leaders. I went because I really want to understand how business is structured and what the conversation is around business, because I'm keenly interested in working with women leaders and also working in the entrepreneurial space. And so I had a little bit of trepidation about what I was going to talk about as a woman leader and whether what I had to share was actually going to resonate with other women leaders. So I'm an American, right? And we have freedoms that we don't even realize we have. We we have privileges that we don't even realize that they're privileges. And so I knew that, but what I wasn't sure is whether any of this would translate to another culture, to different ethnic groups. So I learned a lot about Nigeria. I should say, in the beginning of learning a lot about the various ethnic groups and tribal groups in Nigeria and how they don't work together sometimes. Hey, Charles. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And so I would ask a question. I asked a lot of questions as I was doing my session, because I wanted to make sure that I was resonating with the women leaders in the room. And what I discovered is that there is a human experience that women are having all over the planet. And whether you're in Nigeria, whether you're Yoruba, whether you're Igbo, whether you're Hausa, whether you're any of the other many ethnic groups and tribes in Nigeria, women have the exact same human experience as women in the US, as women in Cuba, as women in Turkey. And there's slight nuances to it, but most of it is exactly the same. And that was really profound to me, on many levels. One, it said to me that wherever we are in the world, we can relate to another human being if we think about that person as a human being, not as like a different tribal group, not as, someone who, it's important to ask a lot of questions, Nancy. But we're all having the same human experience. Women are not taking care of themselves, and that's a universal issue. It's not just a US issue. I thought maybe it was just sort of part of a US conversation. It's not. It's very much a Nigerian conversation, a Cuban conversation. It's a universal conversation. So that was really powerful to me, is that the human experience is the same. The other thing that I learned the other thing that I really was challenged by is, in Nigeria, there are separations based on tribe and ethnic group and geography and a bunch of other things. And to the point, I had someone say something really negative about one tribe, and how the statement was basically 90% of that tribe are all they're all thieves. It was something kind of really outlandish. And I got really upset, actually, and chastised the people that said it, because I said, that's the way we perpetuate division, Monica. That's the way we perpetuate division. It's the way that we can make someone else the other, and then we can oppress them or suppress them or say that they're not worthy. And that happens to women all the time. Women are not, so there's, people will say, oh, women aren't capable of flying airplanes. When I was in the military, women were not allowed to fly aircraft in the military, in the Marine Corps specifically. We couldn't fly fighter jets because we were, quote, not strong enough. And so, but that kind of separation and division is what actually keeps us stuck as human beings. And so my last really big lesson is that the human experience has no boundaries, and no matter what tribe you're part of, no matter what ethnic group you're part of, hi, Iya, how are you? No matter what tribe you're part of, no matter what ethnic group you're part of, no matter what, everyone's human experience is exactly the same. People want to thrive. People want to strive. People want to have a good life for their families. People want to have good lives for themselves. People want to be successful. People want to contribute. That is a human experience. It is not bounded by language. It is not bounded by ethnic requirements. It's not bounded by any of those things. And so that was really a profound lesson to me. And I think, again, in my emerging knowledge and my emerging learnings of Nigeria, it is so important. And this is a message for my Nigerian friends that I'm so grateful to be connected to. It is so important to look at all of the different peoples and ethnic groups inside of Nigeria and see the human being. see the human being, because the human beings are everybody's literally struggling with some of the same issues. And so that was really profound for me, like just to really get connected to the fact that our human experience is the same. And we need to make a more concerted effort to see each other as human beings, as people who are desiring love, success, contribution, importance, significance, all of that. I mean, it's so important. And and again, I don't know enough about the history of Nigeria. I'm actually reading a really awesome book right now, written by a very famous Nigerian writer. And, I started it like, first of all, Nigeria is a young country in terms of its independence. And it's had, all kinds of political stuff. And part of why I chose, hey, Ivy, part of why I chose to be to go to jump into the opportunity to speak. Part of why 4 years ago I wrote down that my 10-year plan was I wanted to work with women leaders in Nigeria, because I have a connection, a very deep spiritual connection to Nigeria. And so I was like, I want to be able to take my talent and what I've learned building a multi-million-dollar organization, what I've learned as a leader, and be able to contribute my skills to help and support, right? And so it hasn't taken me 10 years to get an opportunity to start to do that work. It's happening now. It's about three years in to my plan. And so having that opportunity, but what I really, really, really see is that, yes, the divisions, Nancy, these biases and prejudice and assumptions need to be tackled for Nigeria to be, to thrive. There's lots of stuff that needs to happen, but I just believe, like, no matter where we are in the world, that we have to really make an effort to see each other as human beings. There was a really extraordinary woman CEO who's the chief executive officer of children's clothing a children's clothing line in Nigeria. Sorry, my computer just went on. And it's talking all by itself for some reason. It's very strange. Okay. Anyway, not sure why this is on. But, she talked about that she is a human being and she wants people to treat her like a human being, right? And she gave some really amazing examples of where she was not treated like a human being. And so I just want to reiterate, like, it's so important that as we are looking as women leaders and women business owners to build great companies, to build great partnerships, is that no matter, particularly in Nigeria, no matter the ethnic group, try to find common ground, try to find common understanding, try to find ways and places that that you can see where you're more similar than dissimilar. That was a huge lesson for me. And it's something that I'm going to continue to hold on to and really share as I continue to create opportunities to do more work in Nigeria. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. It was really a powerful trip. I have some other learnings. There's some other things that I want to share, but those are 5 lessons that I learned that I found that they have application. Take risks, be open, see the humanity in everyone around you. These things are so important to wherever we are. Be here, be wherever you are, be there, be fully present in that moment, because all kinds of juicy goodness happens. I will tell you that I had an extraordinary time in Nigeria, and I usually do, but this was really powerful because I had an opportunity to spend time with a friend of mine, Oyin. She has a shop in Akute, and so I went and sat and learned about her shop and how her business works. I had opportunities to meet with several women CEOs who really, for Nigeria, are doing something very non-traditional in terms of running their own businesses without husbands involved and all that. So there were some real huge learnings around that. I'm super excited and can't wait to come back I'm hoping by mid next year that that's going to happen. I want to do some training and some entrepreneurial work and some leadership training. So if anybody has opportunities that you're thinking about, partnerships that you want to do, definitely hit me up, because I'm super like on fire and passionate about what I saw, the hunger to create an extraordinary country, and my firm belief is that women are the lever for change for Nigeria. Women are the lever of change for the world. That I know, and I'm just, it's becoming more and more clear to me. In Nigeria, I definitely believe women are the lever of change. Dr. Obi, who was one of the keynote speakers, said something that I've been telling everyone about. She made really the mandate to involve women in the economic and political infrastructure of countries, that it's an economic imperative to have women fully involved. And she gave the example, I think in Rwanda, something like 61% of the women, 61% of political offices are held by women. And the president of Rwanda made that a mandate and made women being really part of the fabric in very robust ways being important. And the other thing that Dr. Obi shared was in Nigeria, that's not the case. It's something like 4% of political offices are held by women. That's something women in Nigeria, that's something that is changeable. It's 100% changeable. So hopefully that's something that someone's going to be working on. But the other thing that she shared was that in a patriarchal society like Nigeria, where the focus is on men going out and earning livings and bringing money home, she said if there's only 48% of the population is male and 52% is female, she said it doesn't matter how hard that 48% work. That if 48% of the population works at 100% of its capacity, you still only get 48% of the output, right? And so she made the economic argument that women have to be involved in the building of the country, in the rebuilding of Nigeria. And I would take that and extend it to everywhere in the world, that for societies and communities to be robust and vibrant and dynamic, women have to be fully involved. And so that's just something food for thought. And for my Nigerian friends, definitely, there's some awesome opportunities. I'm excited. I'm excited at the energy of the women who were present at the Women in Leadership Conference. I'm excited. The conference organizers did an awesome job, pulling everything together. And so, I think that there's some really spectacular things that can happen, and it's going to require all of us looking at each other as women, as human beings, and as encouragers and supporters of each other, pushing each other forward rather than dragging each other back. So I am actually going to do another Facebook Live about the question of why women need to support each other more than we do. So anyway, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having an amazing evening. I hope this was helpful. Just food for thought. Take risks. Take risks. Take risks. Take risks. I did. I can't even tell you. It was such an extraordinary time. So wherever you are, have a wonderful evening. Please share this with someone. If there's any of my Nigerian friends, because I know a whole bunch of you guys jumped on Facebook with me. Please share this because I think I want us to be in this conversation. I want us to be thinking. Revolutionary thinking was the theme of the conference. It's an extraordinary theme. It's completely doable. We just have to know that it's possible. And I'm a firm believer that when we decide that it'll happen, just like here in the U.S. in the 60s, there was a decision to put a man on the moon in under 10 years. And in fact, in under 10 years, there was a man walking on the moon, or a couple of men actually walking on the moon. So if we can get someone from Earth to the moon and back safely, then we can certainly join together as women leaders and build a great Nigeria, build a great US, build a great Russia, build a great China. So wherever you are, have an amazing evening. And again, I'm Jenny DuFresne. I'm super excited to have you guys here. Thank you for tuning in. And please share your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you guys. And for those of you who are in Nigeria, who are ready to do some great work, make sure you hit me up. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.